There's no annoying opening monologue this time. We're just gonna talk about the Oscars.
Oh boy,
Welcome
we're
to
gonna
Not Just
get
Any Book
not
Club.
just any book club off the books. It's Oscar season, so we're gonna talk about Oscars because we both really like movies.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed that. The movies have been kind of out trending the book stuff on this little podcast. We're trying to get back to reading, but
Yes.
our second love, our first love, in terms of having hobbies, we're kind of polyamorous. It's like movies, and Pierce has been getting into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also, Justin, have been into this for a long time, but surprisingly, I've been into just old movies my entire life, up until kind of now, where I've been watching more contemporary stuff thanks to Pierce encouraged me to watch, get caught up in the Oscar race, and
Yep.
now here I am.
Because the way that I started a few years ago, like 2-ish years ago, was that I started following the Oscar races for all the different categories. And that led to me watching stuff I might not have normally watched, and then I just kept going even when the Oscars were over. So, yeah,
The Oscars aren't perfect,
they're
obviously,
not.
but
They're not perfect, but they are the most prestigious award in the industry, so they are worth discussing. Bradley Cooper has based his entire last 5 years of his career on trying to get one. So, so it's an important thing for the people in the industry. So we treat it as such, even though obviously it has its own issues, representation and such.
we're getting there.
Yeah, they are getting there, which is good. But nonetheless, there's a lot of categories, and we were going to talk about the majority of them. So, do you want to just jump in? We're going to save Best Picture for last.
Yeah.
It's the largest category and also the the ultimate one.
My favorite word.
So we'll get to that last. Do you want to just go in the order on their site?
Yeah.
We would start with the performances in that case.
Before, do you want to talk about the notable snubs and notable 2023 films?
Yeah, we can talk about notable snubs first. I think the big one that is on most people's minds, definitely on Twitter's mind, is Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie for Barbie, for sure. It's just, honestly, they were in two of the most competitive categories. I could see an argument that they should be involved, but I could also see an argument for Greta Lee in lead actress from Past Lives, and also Celine Song for Past Lives for director. So neither of them got nominations. So it's just a really competitive category. Barbie got its flowers in other categories. I don't have as much of a problem with it as other people clearly did. But nonetheless, it should be mentioned, obviously, because it's one of the most notable films of the year.
Yeah. Notably, that's not on here is Saltburn, because that movie,
probably the most popular movie on the internet this past year, I would say. For a while.
I don't know why. Quick thoughts about that is that it is good, but really bad at the same time.
Yeah, it has some really good qualities, and then some also really bad qualities, and then some qualities that look good but are kind of shallow.
I don't want to use the P word, but it's just.
Yeah. Don't want to get too into that one because it's a very contentious. Some people hate it more than we do. Some people love it a lot. Not to say I hate it necessarily. I thought it was okay, but definitely should be mentioned. I think also one thing that should be mentioned is the Iron Claw. Actually, weirdly enough, I didn't think going into it that it was going to be like that, but I mean, I could make an argue for it in a couple of categories. Some people say Best Picture nomination. I could see it. I don't really think so. I think actually its best chance in the Oscars was a Best Actor nomination for Zac Efron, which was not the category I thought I I thought it even had a shot in when I was walking into that movie. But flowers to Zac Efron. I do think he should have been nominated this year. Uh, I'd have to look at the list to say over who, but
But well, I mean that is our first category.
that is
I don't have
true.
yeah, I don't have any other notable things to say. I Pierce is much more of a contemporary film watcher. I'm more of the classics, but those lines are blurring now
Yeah,
because here I am talking
yeah
about the Oscars.
we're working to get there together.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, into the categories, actor in a leading role. Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, which I've not seen, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. Um, I personally would love to see Paul Giamatti win. I Here's the thing. So people, Paul Giamatti's been going on a tear award season, so people
Hmm.
think he might win the Oscar. Um, and I think that's definitely possible. We'll see. And some people online are kind of upset about that because Cillian Murphy was excellent in Oppenheimer, obviously, but I think we undervalue comedic roles quite a lot.
Yeah,
And Paul Giamatti is a comedic role, but I think was
brought a lot of
he,
heart.
yeah, he and is it Devine or Divine Joy Randolph? Do you know?
I don't know. Don't look at
Rand
me.
Giamatti and Randolph and the Holdovers, they were really the heart and soul of that movie. Just as important to it, I would say, as Cillian Murphy was to Oppenheimer. So
Mhm.
it should be a tight race, and I think it is, considering they've been splitting awards back and forth. But I would like to see Paul Giamatti win personally. That's just me.
Yeah, personally here too. I mean, I keep on forgetting it's a comedy sometimes because I just remember feeling like it was more of a drama. I mean,
Hmm.
it's both. Like it's whatever. But like this movie is ride or die on his performance, and I think it's just excellent. He did bring a lot of heart to it. You hate him and you love him. It's great. It's a nice balance.
Yep. 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 Yep.
All right.
Uh,
And
I guess I should say real quick for Efron. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, I might put him in over Bradley Cooper. I have not seen Rustin, so I won't speak on that. I don't like to be like, they shouldn't have been nominated because I haven't seen the movie. Um, I mean, I would out of this list, I would probably consider putting him in over Bradley Cooper or Jeffrey Wright, possibly.
mhm,
But I don't like Oscar bait, so maybe that's the bias they're coming out.
yeah. All right. I think that's that with that category. I don't have anything to say about Jeffrey Wright because I guess a little bit later on. Spoiler for this episode, but American Fiction, not my thing. And I
Yeah,
don't. I like
I thought
Jeffrey Wright, but
Jeffrey Wright was really good in it. Jeffrey Wright was really good in it. I
yeah,
think I think the two nominees that they got in it for acting, Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown, I thought they were both very good. They were
yeah.
bright spots of that movie for sure.
Okay.
Anyways, Sterling K. Brown, actor in a supporting role. Um, so Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Gosling, and Mark Ruffalo. Um,
Huh.
it's going to Robert Downey Jr. This one.
Yeah, yeah. This is like there's an Oscar story to it as well.
Yeah,
So
there's a
yeah,
career comeback story. He's never won
he
before.
and he's
Like
off the chains of Marvel.
he's out of Marvel's clutches. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense to go to anyone else. I don't think.
Yeah, and Robert De Niro has his time in the spotlight. Um, just give it to someone else at this point. I mean, why not?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
Ryan
definitely
got
ready to hear Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar acceptance speech.
yeah, it's
For
gonna be
sure.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you say about Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling again. For later this episode, not a big fan of Barbie. I know, just don't click away just yet. Um, Ryan Gosling, he was good in the movie. Um,
Mm.
and he did really. embody Ken. It's
Mhm.
just honestly, it's probably the best part of the movie. It's just it wasn't a very strong movie for me, so I guess that kind of neuters my enthusiasm for Ryan Gosling being nominated here.
Yeah, I personally also would have loved to see a Willem Dafoe nomination. I think that that was
Hmm.
actually like, I know you haven't seen Poor Things yet, but I
Hmm.
think Willem Dafoe's role specifically was tough. He was supposed to be kind of frightening, but also like a nurturing father figure. Um, it was a complex role that he had in Poor
Hmm.
Things, and I think he deserved some more love for it than he got in the form of a nomination.
Okay, so right now we're 2 for 2 in agreeing, and for our choices here. So,
Hmm.
all right, actress in a leading
Um,
role. Unless you have something
yes,
else to say.
I
Yeah.
do not.
Okay.
Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Huller, Carrie Mulligan, and Emma Stone.
Does Naiad even
Obvious,
exist?
yeah, obviously there's I I do not want to watch Naiad because I already said I have a bias against like overt Oscar bait in Maestro and Naiad mostly for this year. So I haven't seen it, but obviously she stands out from the crowd in kind of a bad way here, unfortunately. Great
Yeah.
career, not nominated for this role. Um, but honestly, this is probably the toughest category.
Yeah.
Top three at least. Um,
Yeah.
I would say Sandra Huller, Lily Gladstone, Carrie Mulligan, and Emma Stone are all more than deserving. Carrie Mulligan was the best part of Maestro. Sandra Huller was incredible in Anatomy of
Mhm.
a Fall. Lily Gladstone was obviously excellent as well. And then Emma Stone really, I think it's tough. I've been seeing some people online say that like they don't. I know you. I'm
I
giving
know.
special attention to Emma Stone because she seems to be the front runner. She's been winning a lot.
Mhm.
I think she's won most of the stuff. But um, I've been seeing people online say that like her performance didn't really work for them, and um, I think like Lily Gladstone's and Carrie Mulligan's and Sandra Huller's are all more of a wow performance. But Emma Stone's is not to say it's not in your face because it obviously is. She's playing like a person developing over the course of a movie. But it's very clearly I think it's just very difficult to show the maturing of the mind in the way that she did, and because of the difficulty of the role, that's why she's getting so many nods.
Mhm.
It's clearly a very hard role. But I think honestly, it could go to anyone but Annette Bening, and it would be deserving because this category is so strong this year.
Sorry, Annette.
Sorry, Annette. Good career, but it's just
Next time, don't star in Oscar bait.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I love Lily Gladstone's performance, and I do get the criticisms of just her not being in the movie enough to kind of warrant it, and maybe her being in a leading role is a bit much. I mean, I think because like she is basically in an hour of the movie total, possibly, maybe. I don't know how people quantify that. Um, but I think her performance with her eyes, it's very subtle. And it works because I read the book and then watched the movie, and she really brought that I don't want to say character, that person to life and just reenacted her and brought her, kind of justified playing her, and it was great. I mean, I haven't seen most of the movies in this category except for Anatomy of a Fall, um, but I do like Gladstone. I can't compare to a movie I haven't seen yet, so
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
sorry.
Yeah, and like I said, I really think any of the four
Mhm.
who weren't in Naiad could win it, and it wouldn't be a travesty. Just because they are
Yeah.
all so great this year, and that's why again, really hard for me to like get up in arms about Margot being snubbed because like the category was just so tough.
Well,
Obviously, Annette
Margot made
Benning stands out like a sore thumb. But then again, I also brought up Greta Lee from Past Lives, so
Oh, yeah.
there's even other actresses who didn't get a nod, just like Margot, who might have deserved to be in. So it's a tough category.
Yeah. I don't have a definitive pick here because I can't
Yeah,
really choose,
you
but
haven't seen many of the movies.
in this one,
Okay. Actress in a supporting role: Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, Color Purple. I forgot that she got nominated for that. America
yeah.
Ferrera in Barbie, Jodie Foster in Nyad again,
No,
and
no,
then
no.
I think it's
Devane?
is Divine Joy
We're gonna
Randolph.
change the pronunciation of it
I
every single time.
definitely I definitely should have we definitely should have looked this up before, and I
You just call
pretty
her by
sure
her
I
last name.
pretty sure I've been hearing it Divine, but I was saying it
Okay.
Divine before, which makes me confused.
Yeah.
Um, but
Like,
yeah, Randolph. It's gonna go to Randolph for sure.
yeah. I
Kind of the
haven't
same
seen.
thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just haven't seen the color purple. It's on Max right
Okay.
now.
I think that's the original on
No,
Max.
it's the
Oh,
no,
they
it's the
they put the
musical.
new one
They
on
just
too.
put it on there.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I mean, uh,
What is America
like,
Ferrera doing here?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What is America Ferrera doing here? I also Emily Blunt was very good in Oppenheimer, but I could also like no names are springing to mind right now, but I also could see in maybe another year where it's a stronger crowd for this
Mm,
category, her not making it. She was good. But I don't feel like she was the most strong.
mhm.
And maybe it's also just Randolph was so good, so far and away the best in the category that
Yeah.
like it's
It is
making me
unfair to compare.
just right, exactly. Like she and Giamatti I think really had
Uh-huh.
just amazing performances.
Yeah.
Pretty
It
perfect
was
for
very
that movie.
subtle as well when
Hmm.
I like there was a scene where she was talking about just grieving over her son and the scene with them in the TV. I was like, "Oh, once she just started mentioning it, like it was very like this. I think it was like one of her first scenes, first or second scene, and it's just like that. I'm like, this is the best performance, one of the best performances I've seen in a while. So yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. For sure.
America.
I
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if you want to say America Ferrera, anything about America Ferrera.
Just like I don't know. I haven't spent that much time thinking about possible snubs from this category, so there's not like I'm not thinking like, "Oh, I would replace America Ferrera with anybody," but America Ferrera for sure stands out as someone who like maybe shouldn't be here.
She has a monologue.
She has
Mm,
a monologue, and I've heard the arguments for that monologue, which are that like, you know, it's very kind of intro feminism, but like that's necessary for
yeah,
younger
this movie
people
and this
and
movie.
this movie. So I've heard the arguments for why the monologue is good. I've heard why it's like why people think it's not so good. I think that was the main thing that she's here for, and I don't know if I agree, but I also again can't don't have anyone off the top of my head that I would replace her with, so I'm not gonna say that she definitely shouldn't be here.
Maybe Rosamund Pike from Saltburn. I don't know. Like
Oh
that
yeah,
was,
yeah, she was good in it. Yeah, I mean I could see it.
but I just hate
Um,
that movie too much to say. "Eh."
to say for sure, you hate it so
Yeah.
much you can't. Okay. Uh, is there anything else that came out this year that I can? Ooh, actor in a supporting role. The dog from Anatomy of a Fall. I know we're past this, but
Snoopy.
messy Snoop. Yeah.
Ugh.
Um, in all seriousness, though, I do think the boy from Anatomy of a Fall was very good. I know they don't tend to give nominations out to children, but I actually really liked his performance
Mm.
personally. I haven't heard many other people saying the same thing, but so maybe I missed something and it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
No,
But
that was a really good kid actor.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought his performance was very good, and I also don't think I think that they're supporting actor and supporting actress this year aren't super super strong. So I think it should have been possible for him to get in. I don't know if I would like throw him in there, but he was very good. I think I should at least mention that.
Yeah. Um. No, no qualms from for me there. I also agree.
Okay, animated feature film. I think we've both only seen the favorites in this category. And by
Yeah.
favorites, I mean favorite because one of the two movies that we thought were the favorites has been winning everything, I'm pretty sure. Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Boy and the Heron has been winning like everything in the lead up to the
Hmm.
Oscars. So it looks like Boy and the Heron is probably going to win it. Not my favorite Miyazaki movie.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's very good
Hmm.
personally. But like he's had much better films, and I think Across the Spider Verse is a very like excellent part two to
Yeah.
what is now going to be a trilogy.
I, it's on a cliffhanger. I
Uh huh.
can in good faith go. That's the best animated feature film. But I do think it is very comparable to Enter or Into the Spider Verse. Yeah, Into
Yeah,
the Spider Verse.
I think Into the
Um,
Spider Verse is a little bit better personally, but
yeah, but I say it's comparable.
yeah,
That
yeah.
that's yeah. Um,
Uh,
well, I mean, for me, Boy and the Heron. My quick thoughts about it is that it is very well animated, but
very
that
pretty.
but I was very confused during most of it because just like they kept on explaining every single detail, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Or not?
I think we talked about this before. It suffers from kind of and then syndrome where like
Yeah.
something happens and then they go to this place and then they go
Mm.
here and then the like parakeet like house
Yeah.
and then they go through a
Explain.
door and they come back to the other
Yeah.
place and then the parakeets become small when they go into the real world and then
Yeah. Not
like
really of a spoiler, but
y-
yeah. Yeah.
spoiler, the boy he gets
Becomes a
away from
hair.
the parakeets in the middle of the movie, not at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler,
Um
the boy does not die in the middle of the movie.
or does he? We're gonna try to throw off track.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know when Miyazaki was supposedly coming out of retirement for this. I say supposedly in air quotes because he comes out of retirement like every 2 years at this point.
Mm.
It's a running gag at this point. He it's just this was kind of a disappointing swan song to finish out on. And while I didn't like The Wind Rises as much as everyone else, I do think that is probably his most personal film. I yeah. But looking up stuff, what people were saying and trying to analyze and interpreting their meaning onto it, I see why people enjoy this film. It's just it's way too vague for me to really think that
Mm.
it stands among head and shoulders among the best.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Miyazaki films, he's got like
Spirited Away,
very
man.
like incredible animated films. Yeah, Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, people love Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle. And that's just the top tier. There's a
Yeah.
whole like there's a second tier that's like not quite there but still like excellent.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's it's tough. It's tough for sure in with his
Yeah.
legacy. Um
Any other thoughts on the other
Not
movies in this
really.
category?
Not really. I haven't seen them. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know people liked Elemental like that. Um I felt like some of the I kept seeing videos of it on like Twitter and I was like, is this a psyop? Like is Disney psyoping me into like go
Yeah.
watch this movie? Everyone's seeing it. Cuz I haven't heard any I haven't talked about it with anyone.
Yeah,
I
the
haven't
premise
seen
of this
people
movie
talking about.
is just so
Yeah.
bland. Wow,
Mm.
people live fire and water and they can't touch. Oh,
Mm.
I don't know.
And it was a
Um,
metaphor for race relations.
yeah.
um,
Nemona's up on YouTube. Maybe I'll check that out now.
I definitely want to check these out. Like I feel like I kind of
Yeah.
slack on the animated ones. I usually watch like the top 3 favorites,
Yeah.
but I feel like I should do better
Yeah.
and watch them all.
Yeah. And these movies are nominated just to give you not just to, but like to one of the reasons they're nominated is to give lesser known films some notoriety
Hmm.
because I've never heard of Robot Dreams before, but now people are watching because it got anime nominated for. Best animated film. So
I heard
hey,
I heard it's pretty good too.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
cinematography, El Conde, which I have not seen, but I've seen some clips of since it got nominated, and it does look really
Cinema,
good
the
in terms of
cinematography is amazing.
cinematography. Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Uh, based on the Academy, I think this is Oppenheimer's to lose.
Hmm.
However, like I said, El Conde does look excellent from the little I've seen of it. And then Killers of the Flower Moon and Poor Things, I think are excellently shot. But
Yeah,
just the way it's going, it seems like it's Oppenheimer's category to
yeah.
lose.
I I like Killers of the Flower Moon cinematography. I mean, I can only speak on two of the films here because I saw
Yeah.
Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, and I did also see stills of El Conde, and let's just say those were some great stills.
Yeah, they're very the framing beautiful. It looks great.
Rule of thirds,
Yeah,
amazing.
it's awesome. However, I have not seen it, so I can't don't feel qualified to speak on it. It's on Netflix, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
I'll try and watch it before the Oscars. But what I will say, we're gonna get to it because editing's a category. What I
Mhm.
will say about the technical aspects of Killers of the Flower Moon, I feel like editing is probably its best
Yeah, absolutely.
aspect. The fact that a 3.5 hour movie feels like that is a credit to the editor's room for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but still a beautifully shot film. The way everything's going, it seems like it's gonna go to Oppenheimer.
yeah. All right.
I don't
Costume
necessarily
design?
disagree. Yeah, costume design. I don't think we have that much to say about it.
Uh,
Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things.
Napoleon was indeed a movie with costumes in it.
And it's so Napoleon is either going to be this year's Babylon, where they just like nominate it for something, but nobody votes for it and it doesn't win anything, or it's gonna be the thing that randomly wins the like smaller categories like costume design. I'd
Like
honestly,
Suicide Squad.
yeah, I'd honestly like to see this go to Poor Things personally. Um, but I mean, I could see an argument for basically anything here, to be honest.
Yeah. Um, I I actually would say that there's an argument against Oppenheimer because period pieces have been done before a lot,
It's
especially in
true.
this time period.
It's true.
So I think for some, diversity here, it could go to Poor Things because I have not seen it, but I've seen stills of it, and those stills look pretty costumey.
Pretty
Um,
costumey, big costumes.
yeah. No, okay. Wait, is makeup a different category or is this
Yeah, I think it's makeup and
okay?
hairstyling
Okay,
is a
I'm
category.
gonna give it over there, but yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon, I think it is very authentic to the culture it's
Mhm.
representing, so I think that's also a point in its favor. And Barbie, production design especially would that would apply to it. Costume design, it is Barbie. It does feel like an ad when you're talking about the costume designs for a Barbie movie, but I think it's worthy of a mention there.
Yeah,
Hmm,
it's worthy of a mention, and I think I mean, it could technically have a shot. But I think it's gonna go to something else.
yeah,
Personally,
I'm thinking it could be Killers of the Flower Moon, to be honest.
yeah, I could see it. Directing, another one of
Oh.
the toughest categories. Do you want to save this for right before Best Picture, or because I'm just going
Yeah,
in the
'cause
order on here? Okay,
yeah.
we'll save it. Stay tuned for directing.
Yeah, we're gonna be cliffhanger. Uh,
Documentary. We have not seen any of these. I do plan on watching at least some of them. If I had to guess, the feature documentary, the one about Ukraine, is probably going to win. 20 Days in Mariupol.
yeah, which is up on
Um,
YouTube
yep. I'm definitely gonna. I'll
officially,
definitely watch that one for sure. Uh, Documentary
wins
short
by
film.
default.
I honestly do not know. I don't know how to say this. Nine and Wapo. Um, might have butchered that. I apologize. Deeply apologize. I've heard that one is excellent. Um, so if if I had to guess, I would say that. I've also heard good things about pretty much all of them except for the ABCs of book banning. Actually,
Yeah,
um,
according to Letterbox reviews, at least. It's
Oh
just
well, I'm getting okay. Yeah, according to Letterboxd as well, I guess. But that's not what I was looking at.
oh,
I've heard that. I've heard that um
actual
some people.
critics.
Yeah, some people I follow. Um, but I can't really speak on that. I know
Yeah.
Justin can't either. Editing, we were talking about it. Anatomy of Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. I I think it should go to Killers of the Flower Moon. Like it's
Yeah.
it's a real. I think it the way it's going, it probably will end up going to Oppenheimer
Hmm.
because of the way the Academy is. But
Hmm.
it's kind of
Um,
an achievement for Killers of the Flower Moon to feel like that at 3.5 hours.
yeah.
Like,
I know that. Yeah. Thelma Schoonmaker has been partners with Scorsese on many films, so that's why a lot of her his really long epics really feel that way, like
mhm.
how breezy they feel and efficient. So I feel like this could go to someone else. I don't want to say Jennifer's last name because it just makes you sound like a lame, but lame.
Jennifer
But
Lame for Oppenheimer.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if she said anything
and
else.
it's not to say like that's not to say like any of these other ones were, not as good as Killers of the Flower Moon or close to it, but
Mhm.
just Killers of the Flower Moon stands out to me. Again, I do think it'll end up going to Oppenheimer, which was also
Yeah,
very good.
yeah. Editing is just a really hard category to just
Hmm.
like say that's the best editing because if editing is done well, it is supposed to be invisible and like we're
Hmm.
not really supposed to notice it. So yeah, unless it's very flashy. Um, The Holdovers, I can't really say anything about the editing there, and Anatomy of a Fall, can't really say anything except maybe that montage of the end where the kid speaking and flashes back to someone else speaking. I
That's
was
pretty
like, a
well
little bit
done.
melodramatic.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I get the melodrama, but it was I thought the editing was well done there.
I guess I'm trying to nitpick here. Okay.
um, I don't
Yeah,
really have anything else to say about editing.
okay.
Not exactly a master on that front. International feature. I always love this category. I always make it a point to see all the films in
Mhm.
this category.
Shout out
Um,
to the Alamo Drafthouse.
yes, shout out to the Alamo Drafthouse. They tend to play most, if not all of them, in the lead up to the actual Oscars themselves. One thing I should mention, I feel, is that France did not put forward Anatomy of a Fall, so that's why that's not on here. Um, Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet, she criticized the government at Cannes, and the minister of
Culture?
Minister of Culture did not like that, and she said this is not a place for that, and she put forward a different movie, The Taste of Things, which I saw, which was very well made, and it's been very well received, but it is no Anatomy of a Fall, to put it frankly. Um, so and I think it would have been a really interesting two-film race in international feature this year if France had
Mhm.
put forward Anatomy of a Fall, but they did not. So the nominee is Yo Capitano. I might be butchering that. I don't speak Italian.
Mhm.
Um,
Yet.
Perfect Days from Japan.
Perfect Days.
Society of the Snow from.
I don't know.
I'm so excited to see Perfect Days. I see it on
I know.
Saturday. I'm beyond excited. I love Paris, Texas by Vim Vendors. I still have to see Wings of Desire.
Oh, you haven't?
Um,
Oh,
I have
you're in
not
for a
yet.
treat there.
But I am so excited to see Perfect Days.
Yeah. I I will also say that I my brother is barely into movies, but when we were watching Boy and the Heron and the trailer for Perfect Days comes up, he was like, "That movie sounds very interesting," and
it
it's Japanese and like,
yeah.
whoa, it was great.
It looks excellent, and it looks very important.
Artsy.
Not just for the time, but for like it's for humanity in general.
Mhm.
Seems to be giving meaning to the ordinary and the mundane, and lots of us live
It's like a
ordinary and
slice of
mundane
life.
lives. Yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited to see that. Don't think it's gonna win just because of what we have coming up in a minute here. Society of the Snow from Spain. Didn't love it. I'll be honest. Didn't really even like it that much.
Oh,
I thought the first 15 minutes were excellent, excellent, and then they crashed in the mountains, and then I got kind of bored um, for the next like 2 hours. So
God.
so didn't love this one, but I get what people see in it, but I personally did not like it.
Mhm.
Um, Teachers Lounge from Germany have not seen yet. Going to watch it. Um, and then the Zone of Interest, which is we'll get to it when we get to the Best Picture race. It's going to win this
Mhm.
category because it's the only one in the category also nominated for Best Picture.
Mhm.
So we shall see. Um, but yeah,
Makeup and hairstyling. Yeah, all
makeup and
right. Yeah.
hairstyling.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about the special or the international feature films. So
Yeah, me neither. Makeup and hairstyling. Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Society of the Snow.
when I
Uh,
say I have nothing to say about this, I've got
yeah,
nothing to say about
I
this.
have nothing to say about this. There's no like I don't think there's any standout. Like I feel like in other years there's
Poor
been kind of a
things.
standout. Maybe Poor Things. Like last year there was The Whale, and it was like the big fat suit, and it looks so realistic, and Brendan Fraser, he looks like a big obese man
Like,
in this movie because of how good the fat suit is. Um, because I think that was that in Makeup and Hairstyling last year? I'd have to look it up.
hmm.
Now I'm like confused. I think I might be confused. But anyways, I don't think there's any particular standout this year. So it's
I very different. Do they
Poor
play? Do
Things or
they?
Oppenheimer. What?
Yeah. Do they televise this, or is it just like they cut the commercial and then they just play that like, oh yeah, this got nominated, this one, and they just move on to the ceremony?
I can't remember because I don't usually pay particularly close attention to this one. So I cannot remember
Okay.
off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I think they
And nothing's
might
gonna.
televise it because
Huh.
I think I remember Cruella winning a few years ago and seeing somebody walk up. Maybe that was for costume design, actually. I don't remember. It's- I,
Oh.
Whatever. We'll see. It was for costume design. Emma just informed me it was for costume design. So no, I don't remember. Is the long version of that
And we're
statement?
not going to remember next year when we do
Yeah.
this again.
Music, original score. So the whole thing. Um,
Okay.
American Fiction, Indiana Jones, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Um,
Hmm.
it, it's gonna be Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I think this honestly could be Oppenheimer's strongest aspect.
Yeah.
The score is excellent.
Yeah.
I
And I've listened to it on its own.
yeah, right, exactly. Um, I've definitely looked up can you hear the music on like people covering it just on piano or whatever on
Mhm.
YouTube. It's great. It's great,
Yeah.
great. Poor Things I think is also very very good. Um, if that upset Oppenheimer somehow some way, I would not be that upset.
Mhm.
It's unique. It's not like I'm not going to go out of my way to listen to it, but it serves the film really,
Mhm.
really well, and that's what's important to me.
American Fiction. I do think this is an underappreciated one. Actually, this is one of the few bright spots of I will say about this film. It is very jazz
Yes.
infused.
Yes.
And there's a lot of percussion, and it
Hmm.
does serve the film very well. But I don't think it's anything where it serves as like the front of the film where you want to listen to this on its own or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
But Poor Things isn't like that either, but it's because Poor Things is very discordant. There's a lot
mhm,
of like they sound like wrong notes, but it's on
mhm,
purpose. It
hmm,
serves the movie, serves the film. So
I
Again, poor
yeah.
things. I would not be upset at winning, but it's going to be Oppenheimer
Yeah, I
for
think
sure.
a notable snub here is actually Boy and the Heron, because Joe
Yes.
Hisashi, um, he deserves something for an Oscar. It's about due time, and like Spirited Away is still probably one of the best scores, and I don't care if it's a legacy award because John Williams has had so many of these,
Yeah.
and Indiana
He
Jones and the
didn't
Dial of
deserve
Destiny
this
is
nomination for
no,
sure. Did he even
yeah.
show up? Is it not just the same score as the other Indiana Jones films?
People are
Was he
assuming
even
that
there?
he's ghost written. This one, he kind of phoned it in,
Yeah.
so
So,
I say,
that definitely is a snub for sure because
yeah,
even a legacy nomination would be good at this point.
yeah.
Um, okay, original song. The
We should listen
Fire
to these
Inside.
beforehand.
We should have the Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. I've heard this one. It's not great.
Good. No,
It's
because
from
I
what
know
I've heard.
Diane Warren gets nominated every year and for
Yeah.
the most mediocre of songs.
I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Um, a
Oh,
song for my
God.
people. I'm not going to butcher that word. From Killers of the Flower Moon. And then What Was I Made For from Barbie.
Wow.
It's
Two Barbie
probably
picks.
yeah. I mean, fair enough. I don't like Billie Eilish personally,
Yeah,
but
and
the song is very good. Um, and it's probably gonna win. Um,
I thought that was probably the worst part of that entire montage at the end where they're playing that Billie Eilish song. I was like, oh, come on.
the montage, it just plays over the
Yeah, but
credits, from what I remember. Are you thinking of a different song?
I guess I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure
I
it
don't.
just plays over the credits.
Huh?
Emma says you're thinking
Hmm,
of a different song.
damn.
Yeah.
I Okay. I guess I stand corrected. We haven't looked any of these songs up beforehand, and
Well,
next year we will do.
this song was everywhere. I remember this song. So was I'm Just Ken. Those are the two that I
Oh,
remember, and
I'm just Ken was the one that was everywhere.
they're the two that have the best chance. No, I mean, What Was I Made For was also everywhere. I heard it all the time for like months after that movie came out.
You work in retail? Oh, is that why?
No. Not in like retail, like online, like on like
Huh.
Twitter and TikTok and stuff. It was everywhere.
I guess I'm just not cool.
You're not in the loop, not in the
Yeah,
contemporary film loop.
I guess not.
Those are the
Uh,
favorites. I
we were
think
not gonna pick any of these, to be honest, because by default Barbie wins.
yeah, probably. I think some people are hoping for a song for my people dark horse win, but it's most likely going to go to What Was I Made For, and then could possibly go to I'm Just Ken. It won it at something a little while ago,
The
and
less
people were
prestigious
like,
awards.
yeah, one of the less prestigious awards. Um, so it's gonna go to one of those for sure. Skipping Best Picture because we're gonna come back to it. Production design, probably Barbie or Poor Things to lose. To be honest,
Yeah.
I
Napoleon.
yeah I mean I haven't
Sympathy
seen
award.
Napoleon, but I think Napoleon and Oppenheimer are probably if I was gonna rank them as far as like chance to win, it's like Barbie, Poor Things, and then like Oppenheimer, Napoleon, and then not to say it's bad, but just Killers of the Flower Moon I think has the lowest chance to win in this
Mhm.
category. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't have a very strong preference here. I mean, Barbie, what is it? Didn't they cause a world shortage of pink or something? Sure. Pink
uh,
paint?
Poor Things was amazing. I personally, by far, my favorite for the category is Poor Things.
Huh.
As much as I wouldn't be mad if they gave it to Barbie, I would not, and I think they might. But Poor Things, it's beautiful. The sets that they
Damn.
built for this movie, it's amazing. It's very good.
Okay. Well,
Um,
I will get around to it eventually.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
you gotta, because Emma Stone is
yeah,
the
yeah,
front runner for best actress, so
yeah.
you gotta
And
get to it.
I mean, and for Napoleon, the reason why I haven't watched it is because everyone was trashing on it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, and Ridley Scott was basically like, yeah, whatever, it's historically inaccurate,
You guys don't know anything. I just make a film by how I feel about it without doing any research. Is
and
what
I'm
it
like,
sounded like. That's not exactly
exactly,
what he said, but
yeah, it transcribed
it transcribed. Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah, but, um and, allegedly, it's like, yeah, he was gonna have a better cut on Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called at this point. So I'm like, "Alright, just wait for that." So that's why I didn't watch the movie, and not like I was excited to anyways with how inaccurate it was. And also, side note, Apple TV Plus sucks because I have a Windows computer and I tried to watch Killers of the Flower Moon, and it gave me, like, 480p quality. What was up with that?
yeah. They want you in the ecosystem. Get in the
I know.
ecosystem,
Yeah,
or else you gotta watch the movies in 480p.
it's ridiculous. I can't.
All right, short films. I have seen all these. I saw the live action ones today, even.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so we'll start with animated. I didn't super love any of these, to be
Okay.
honest. Some of them were pretty good. I'll focus on those primarily. Um, Letter to a Pig from Israel and France. It was listed as both, I think.
Hmm,
I thought that one was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was the animation was interesting. Um, it is obviously an important message, and I hope not lost on our ears in times of what's going on in the Middle East right now. Um, it
yeah.
related a. I guess I should fill you in. It
Yeah, because I
related
have no idea what you're talking about.
there's a guy who came into a who survived the Holocaust, I believe,
Mhm,
and he came into a classroom and he was telling them about it in um, Hebrew. So I would
mhm,
assume he's in Israel, um, and he's telling them about how he wrote this letter to this pig who, because he was chased by Nazis into a barn and he hid in the hay and the pig like kind of
mm,
stood in front of him and kept the Nazi from, and all the kids like laughed at him and whatever. And then it cuts to some of the people from the class like basically like murdering the pig, murdering a pig,
mm.
like very the pig squealing, it made me really
Oh,
uncomfortable, which is the intention.
mhm,
Um, and you know, important for the time. I hope I hope the intention is what I thought it was, and I won't get
okay,
any more into that because it's a little controversial for this podcast.
okay,
And we don't even really have a platform to
yeah,
to
and we're not going
make
to.
a difference. Probably not. We probably will not have. I don't know.
Alright,
Anyways, moving on from that, I thought that was a very good film. I also enjoyed 95 Senses from the U.S. It was about it kind of starts with this old man and he's giving us the laydown on the five senses and like his own personal experience with them, and it's very sweet at first, and you
mm,
kind of like this old man. He's got like a southern western charm to him,
mm,
and then you find out that he is in jail because of a mistake he made, and he accidentally killed two people because he did commit arson on purpose, but he did not know there were people, and so
mm,
he accidentally killed people on accident. Um,
oh,
and so you feel for him first, and then you get this reveal of like what he's done, and you get that he feels bad about it. He is like, he's old
mm,
now, and he spent his whole life in prison, and he's getting the chair. Um, Now after so long because of our bureaucratic systems in the U.S. And it's it's a I love the message. I'm all for more less punishment and more not the word retribute. No,
Rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation. Yes, that's the word. Um, I'm always for more rehabilitation, especially because that guy, he was, he felt bad about it. Like he didn't do it on purpose, and he should be punished somewhat, obviously. But he was clearly not like a violent criminal.
Mhm,
He could be rehabilitated, uh, and so you know.
mhm.
Anyway, good movie. I also enjoyed. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right. Pachyderm. Um, French about a girl who she spends a lot of time at her grandparents, and then you kind of there's some weird stuff going on with her grandfather, and her grandmother is like, "You're always going to be safe out here," and then it's revealed. Well, not revealed, I guess, but very heavily hinted that the the grandfather is assaulting the girl. Um, it's a very controversial topic for this
Mhm.
podcast, but it was very well made. I think if I was going to pick, it would be between those three. I would probably give it to Pachyderm or 95 Senses. Uh, and those would be my picks. I don't
Mhm.
know which one of those two personally.
Yeah, I know that you didn't like War is Over that
I
much.
did not like War is Over. It was pretty bad actually. Um,
Yeah, and
there's this whole sequence
just
where they like there are these two people on the opposite side of a trench during like what looks like World War I. They're sending a messenger pigeon back and forth to play chess with each other. And funnily,
Mhm.
like slowly, like the people on their side of the trench are gathering around and cheering as they make each move. But the funny thing is, you can see the chessboard, and one of them is in a very clearly bad position, like awful, like going to lose, like has like no chance to win, basically. Like all their pieces are set up in the corner of the board in like a like defense, basically, like just slowly being picked off by white. And yeah, it's they're like cheering when they make the moves, and it's like this guy's losing so badly. What are you talking about? um, and then they fight each other, but they figure out that they were the two who were playing chess, and then they stop
Wow,
fighting, and then um
it's pretend.
they f-
Wow, really?
they hold on, not yet. Then they find out the war is over. I think another pigeon comes or something. I
Oh.
can't remember exactly how they find out. And the song "The War Is Over"
The
by
Christmas song.
John Lennon kicks in like full volume. The
Oh
guy next to
no.
me started laughing. and, and the two of them and their commanding officer run around like stopping everyone from fighting in the battle while
Oh my
the
god.
war is over plays at full volume in the background. it's it's a lot. Man, John Lennon's legacy surely is something. Yeah, not my pick for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Have yeah, I mean obviously I can't say anything. Have anything brief to say about our uniform?
Um, I just felt like so it's Iran, and it's stories from this girl who's speaking about her life in Iran. Um, she attends an all girls school, and she has to wear the hijab, and she talks about what that means and how it changes as they grow older, and how strict it is, and uh, the self expression that they are allowed to
Mhm.
do. And I don't know. It feels like we're veering towards like a message about how it's too much. Like, yeah, it's fine as a religious practice, but the way that it's stressed to me seems to be too much in their culture and by their in their in their country. But, it's not made by me. It's made by
Mhm.
an Iranian, and they seem to curve away from that edge at the last moment. And so it's like there's the message that I expect, and then it's not really quite there in the movie. So it's it's hmm. It's just I don't um didn't love it in the first place, and then on top of that, the messaging is not quite where I would personally agree with it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Different culture, and that's fine, but to me it seems a little oppressive, almost, I would say. uh so
Hmm.
and like I say, like in the film, she stresses the uh self-expression, right? But at the same time, we kind of it just feels like we're going towards that edge about like how important self-expression is, and then we like curve away from it at the last second. We're like, whoosh, we're not gonna go so in depth on that, and the movie is
It is a short
over.
film.
Yeah.
Short film.
um so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the animated ones. As far as the live action ones go, I thought they were all pretty good. I rated the After pretty low, which is a short film about loss. A man loses his wife and child and
Mhm.
has to deal with it. The way that he loses them is kind of ridiculous. I thought that the
Oh.
performance of the father was very, very good, but he loses them like this guy with a knife comes in and like stabs the daughter and then like throws her off a roof. And then the
Oh. Wow.
mom like just she doesn't even like consciously jump off after the daughter. She like gets up off the ground and like climbs over the ledge on the side and like falls off. It's I don't know. It's a lot, which is what a lot of the people online were saying too. I was kind of like taken aback by that, but the performance of the father was really good, um, and I think the messaging of this, as well as actually another one that had kind of a similar message about like kind of the ways that we avoid grieving,
Mm.
um, is I think it's a really important topic. Get people to properly grieve. Um,
Huh.
Invincible, not to be
Not the show.
confused with the show
Mhm.
about with Steven Yeun about the Omni
The
Man,
anime
and
superhero.
yep.
Yeah.
Um, that one was, I think, very, very good. Wasn't my favorite on here, but it was good. It was about a boy who is in like a kind of a juvenile detention center of some kind in, I believe, Quebec, because it's a short film from
Hmm.
Canada. They were speaking French, so that's why I
Oh.
assume Quebec. Um, but he was in some kind of juvenile detention center. I'm not really sure what for, but he kept acting up, and then they like took away his privileges, and then he started to get like kind of like depressed and antsy, and then he runs away, and then not really a spoiler because the film begins and ends with it. He
Oh.
drives a car off a cliff. Um,
Oh.
yeah, because he's so like his freedoms and everything have been taken away. I think I'd have to think a little bit more about this one, but I thought it was interesting because I think it was based on the director's life. Like it's about her brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Um, or maybe it's not the director, maybe it's someone else involved with the film, but at the end it showed a picture, like a real picture of
Oh.
the
Huh.
real like brother and sister from the movie. So it's interesting. Night of
Hmm.
Fortune was the one that I was talking about before that was similar to like in theming about loss. It's about an old Danish man who's lost his wife recently and he's going to see her before she is cremated, I believe, and he can't do it. He can't open the coffin, and so he does other things around. He goes to the bathroom. He agrees to go with someone else to see, um, because that guy says that he needs someone to go with him so he can see his wife. But then it's kind of funny actually. It's actually like a funny short film. This was probably my favorite.
Huh.
They go in and the guy is like, they open the coffin together and the guy's like, I wrote down all the things that I wanted to say to you that I never did. And it's like a bundle of pages and he's like, you wrote down stuff? How much did you write down? And he like shuffles them around. He's like, 32 pages. It's not enough really. Could always say more. So there's little jokes in there and stuff that I they were, it was funny. It was
Huh.
funny. And it's sweet at the end because I actually do want people to watch this, but the guy helps our main character, I think his name's Carl, come to grieve and go say goodbye to his wife.
That actually sounds like the best one so far.
It's very good. I actually really enjoyed it. Red, White, and Blue is about a single mother. It opens with her and a positive pregnancy test. She's a mother of two. She works in a diner, and it takes place in Arkansas today. And so she looks up nearest abortion clinic where she can actually get an abortion with like the current laws, everything that's going on right now. And it's like in Illinois, and so she has to like scrounge and get the money together to go take care of that. Perhaps
Very
pretty
timely.
it's timely, perhaps pretty controversial for this particular podcast.
Yeah.
What I will say though, or I guess it's pretty good, but I mean I've been spoiling a lot of them.
In the short films.
Yeah, it's true. It's revealed that the positive pregnancy test was not hers, but instead her
Oh.
10-year-old daughter's, or
Oh.
11-year-old,
Damn,
however
that
old
is a
she was.
twist.
Yes.
Jeez.
She gets there and it's like she's talking to the nurse and she's like, "Oh, I came from Arkansas. I'm desperate. I really need this done." And she's like, "Yeah, you and everybody else. I can put your name on the wait list, but it's pretty long." And then she gets
Damn.
all of her information and it's done really, the reveal is actually done really well because she says the name, and I don't think we've gotten full names at this point in the movie. So she says the name, and then I think she asks her for one other detail, and then she asks her for date of birth, and she says 2013 when she gives the date of birth. And you're like, this woman is not 10 years old, but she does
Damn.
have a daughter who's very young.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of nuts. It was like in the because I saw them all at Alamo back to back to back. It was they played The After, which was about loss, and then this movie, and then they played Night of Fortune to cheer us all up, to make us laugh about loss. Back to back
Wow.
to back. Those three, and yeah, I thought they were all. I thought The After was a little weaker, but the performance made up for it in terms of me feeling what the short film wanted me to feel. So it was a real tearjerker for like an hour in that theater for three short films
Jeez.
back to back to back. It was nuts. And then yeah, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, Wes Anderson. It's probably going to win. I think Wes Anderson's style applies itself really, really well to
Roald
this
Dahl.
story. Roald Dahl. Also, he also did Fantastic
Fantastic
Mr.
Mr.
Fox,
Fox.
which is excellent. This is a different type of thing he tried to do with it. I think it also works, especially for the short form. If it was like an hour or longer, I think it would have gotten really tiresome. But
Mhm.
for 40 minutes, he does kind of the storybook format where the characters are telling you the story. what's going on behind them, and I think it works for what it is.
Yeah.
It'll probably win. I probably liked Knight of Fortune a smidge more, like just a little bit more, but this will probably win over that.
Yeah. I've only seen one of the because Wes Anderson released 4 short films about them about Roald Dahl.
Hmm.
Um, and I saw the worst one, which was The Ratcatcher, and it
Yep.
was really bad. It was just basically an audiobook, and it was just really grating. I didn't like it that much, and I think
It,
that's my one and only. I stopped there. Maybe I'll watch
Henry,
The Sugar.
yeah, Henry Sugar. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is I would say it's also kind of like that, kind of like an audiobook, but I mean it's been better received, as I'm sure you can see on like
Yeah.
Letterboxd and stuff, because it works. Whatever he does different. I haven't seen the Ratcatcher, but whatever he does differently between those two, it definitely works here in my
Mhm.
opinion. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, that's the short films.
They're not available
The live
for
action
anywhere.
ones were on average a lot better than the animated ones if you are able
Yeah.
to watch them. But the ones that were good from the animated category were also good.
Yeah.
So
The only short film that I know that was actually snubbed, was the one with Pedro Pascal and, Ethan Hawke,
oh yeah,
Strange Way of Life.
oh
That
yeah.
wasn't I mean, I'm also trying to find a way to watch it, and there's nowhere to watch it, so
Was that technically how long was that? Was that really a short film?
it was 31 minutes. Is that just outside the short film? I
Really?
don't know.
Oh no. Well, Henry Sugar's 40 minutes, so definitely not.
Yeah.
Huh?
Huh.
I thought it was longer for some reason. All right, whatever. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see consider it. I haven't seen that
I
film,
haven't
but
seen it either, but the
like I
start
said,
hour.
the after outside of the performance, I thought was pretty weak. So I could
Okay.
see it getting in over that.
All right. All right. We're gonna speed through the next 2 categories, and so we can talk more about the best pictures. Because
Yes,
sound, I
sound.
don't really
It's
creator,
going to this.
maestro.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mission
I was gonna.
Impossible, Oppenheimer, The Zone of Interest. It's going to the Zone of Interest.
It
um,
should
should
definitely.
Oppenheimer is very
I
good. Should go to the Zone of Interest.
yeah. Eh, Yeah. Visual effects.
Hmm.
The creator. Godzilla minus one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 1. And Napoleon. Um, I haven't seen. Actually, I have not seen any of these. I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sorry. I'm over Marvel. I know this one is good apparently, but I just
I
haven't seen it.
I've seen a couple. I've only seen one of them. I've only seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's good. From what I've heard, I think it should go to Godzilla minus one. From everything I've heard about it, I want to see that movie very
Mhm,
badly. I'll try and watch it before the Oscars, hopefully, um,
mm.
if I can. um, but what I've seen online is some people are talking about maybe Napoleon or the creator winning.
Yeah.
No, not many people are talking about Mission Impossible. Um, I'm not really sure what the favorite is, but from what I've heard and seen of it, I would probably, if I had a vote, I would vote for Godzilla minus one. If I had a vote, I would
Yeah.
also have definitely watched all the movies.
Yeah. But we
But-
don't have to. Yeah. I just
um,
know that the creator flopped, but it was very efficient in its budget and looking like $100 million film on not a shoestring budget, but like 20 million or something like that.
much
I don't know.
less than what it looked like. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For writing, I think we should just skip over writing just because
Yeah.
we haven't actually read the screenplays, and also
Yeah.
I don't think there's really a far and away favorite in either of these categories.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I can't speak to it that way. I can speak to how I felt about the writing in the movie
mhm,
itself. But I haven't actually read the screenplay, so I feel like
yeah.
um,
Um, May December. That's the one that's not nominated for Best Picture, I think. So if you want to get your 2 cents about that, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a lot
I've
of
seen
things.
it. I think some people are overrating it a lot, a lot. I think it's a good movie. Any adjective beyond good, I would struggle to say
Hmm.
and be truthful. So
Okay.
be truthful to my opinion. That is. Um, so I again, I I think it's well written. So from what I saw, um, so this is fine. I don't think it really deserved a Best Picture nomination. Charles Melton, who we did not mention, he was certainly the best part of the movie. So I would not have been mad about him getting a nomination back in
Mhm.
supporting actor, but I think the movie itself is a little overrated. I thought it was pretty good. Not really much more than that, personally.
Okay.
I know
I
you
haven't seen
haven't seen it,
it.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's my opinion since we're bringing it up.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
but
Big Daddy.
yeah, directing and Best Picture. I'll just go through the Best Picture nominees, and then all of the directors have a film here, so I'll mention them when they come up. Okay,
Yeah.
so that way we can do it
Yeah.
kind of at the same time, because I think the same thing is winning in both categories.
Yeah.
Um, so American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet is nominated for directing for that. Barbie, we talked about how Greta Gerwig was
hmm
snubbed. I don't know
So
who I'd put her in over, but um, the holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese of course got a nomination. Um, Maestro, Oppenheimer, which you know, of course,
yeah.
Nolan got a nomination. Past Lives, which again also for this, Celine Song could have been nominated. Poor Things, but she wasn't for directing. Poor Things, Yorgos got nominated for Best Director, and then Zone of Interest, um, Jonathan Glazer got nominated for Best Director. So that was actually kind of confusing. So I'll just say the names for the directors: Trier, Scorsese, Nolan, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Jonathan Glazer are the five.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the way that this is going, um, Oppenheimer is going to win for Best
hmm
Picture, and Nolan is going to win for Best Directing. And I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I think
That's
that's
fair.
fair. Um, I don't think that Oppenheimer was the best movie that came out this year, personally.
hmm
I do think that they got the best movies in here.
hmm
As far as maybe, we could argue back and forth about spot 8, 9, and 10 or whatever. But
Yeah.
but as far as like the top 5, 6, 7 movies, I think they got them. They got them all in here.
hmm
Um, as of course you could, hindsight is everything. We could in the future see an obscure movie and be like, "Wow, that was amazing. That came out that year." But as far as non-obscure movies that
hmm
lots of people know about, I think they got the right ones for the most part. Um, my personal favorite movie of the year was The Zone of Interest. I think it's
hmm
haunting. I would compare it to Mikhail Haneke in some ways. Um, and I really like
Jeez.
Haneke's work. Not as I wouldn't like Haneke is kind of overtly uncomfortable and disturbing, right? He is I say this every time I watch one of his movies. He is a master of making you uncomfortable.
Mm.
And this film also does that, but in a different way to Haneke. So I compare it to him stylistically, and I would compare it to him in the way that it makes you uncomfortable, but it does it in a much less overt way, always hanging the thing that is uncomfortable kind of over your head. It's always in the room with you, but it's never the thing that you're looking at. Um, of course, this movie is about a family who lives on the other side of a wall connected
hmm
to Auschwitz. Um, so you could compare and contrast with Haneke. I bring him up because I think there's that comparison to be made. Um, but nonetheless, that was my favorite movie this year personally.
I haven't seen it,
You haven't
but
seen
I
it?
do plan on definitely watching it one day.
You should. You should make sure you have some good speakers if you're not able to see it in
Yeah.
a theater. Um, Anatomy of Fall, I think, was my probably my second favorite. I personally really enjoyed it. I know you didn't. You liked it, didn't love it. Love it.
Love Mostly because I
Um,
had a personal preference because it was
yeah.
very plot based and
Mm,
very based in ambiguity over whether she did do it, and I'm like, I just want a character to attach to or something.
yeah. Yeah. I guess it's just if you can connect yourself to the mystery and
Hmm.
the court case. I thought that every scene in court was amazing. I loved
Hmm.
every single second they
I
were in the courtroom. It
Yeah,
was really extremely well done.
I can see the
Um,
argument for it.
yeah,
I just like not my thing.
yeah, yeah. And I also think to nitpick, I guess, to give a criticism I have, um, is that I think it's a little slow to start because they're
Hmm.
kind of setting up. They're giving you the basis, but not all the information because they want to save some of it for the court case,
Hmm.
which I think they do pretty well. But I think in because of the nature of the way that they're saving some of the information for that, um, you it takes a minute to get
Hmm.
going. Um, so I
Yeah,
guess that's something I would say.
yeah. Everyone gives it their all in that film. The directing is great and acting is superb. It's just like it felt very cold on me.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I
would
would say.
love to see it win something. People are saying maybe screenplay, writing. Um, so we'll see.
Hmm.
But yeah. And then I have Oppenheimer third. I definitely Nolan's best in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm not even a big Nolan fan, and I
Yeah.
also agree. This is
I'm not
probably
a
the
big
only one
Nolan
that I
fan
really
either.
enjoy.
Yeah. I like some of his other stuff. I like Interstellar. The Dark Knight I don't love as much as other people, but I acknowledge that it is good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but this is to me. There's not really a competition as far as the ones that I've
Mhm.
seen. I haven't seen all of them, but the ones that I have seen, um, this is his best.
Yeah. We can give our spoiler-free thoughts, I guess, each time you mention them. Um, yeah, I just like the fact that, it goes from subjective to just, like, objective through the black and white, and it intercuts and tells stories out of order, and it's very dialogue-based, and the dialogue is good for once. I just really wish that last act, which is
Hmm.
all very much dialogue based, even more so than the previous 2 acts, had subtitles because the sound mixing was there, but wasn't there entirely, but
Yeah.
yeah, very good.
What I will say, this is kind of the analysis that I've given. It's not very in depth, so I'll just
Mhm.
say it real quick. I think that Nolan does scale extremely well,
Yes, yes, yes.
and I think that this film was him taking the atomic scale, a supremely small scale, and blowing it up to a massive proportion,
What a pun right
to
there.
to an incredibly grand scale. Almost, at times it feels scale wise like Interstellar, um,
Mhm,
and I think that that you know
mhm.
again blowing it up like that it serves the film really well and it serves his style really well.
Yeah, and I just also just like a really good character study too,
Hmm.
and
For
I
sure.
just like that this is a character study, and you really don't get to know the character exactly, but you know him enough to you find him interesting.
Yep. For sure. For sure. For sure.
Mhm,
Um, I fourth. I personally have Past Lives. I know
mhm.
you also didn't love this one as much as me, just like Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
Um, Past Lives, I think is um, you've seen it. You've seen it pretty recently, right? You saw it
Yes.
pretty recently. What? Let's. I'm gonna let you lead on this one. I've been leading a lot.
Yeah. I like how they basically it's just basically about 2 people avoiding the elephant in the room, their
Hmm.
attraction to each other, but not really, and how they feel like they're destined, but they kinda don't wanna mention it to each other, and you feel that this awkward tension between them as they hang out, around each other. It's just It just needed a little bit more. It talks about this philosophical debate, about just reincarnate what was it? Inyon? About
Inyan, yeah,
reincarnate,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I just really like how it was talking about culture. It just didn't show enough of that culture and not enough of the juxtaposition for it to be impactful, in my opinion. And it does talk. It's basically just about three characters, and one of the characters I just feel like is a bit of a third wheel. Um, it's good, and it does channel a lot of "In the Mood for Love,"
Mhm.
by Wong Kar-wai, which Chris will be definitely watching
I will
soon,
be
eventually.
watching. I have a ticket for it to see it in Alamo, so I will be seeing it for
Yeah,
sure.
it's just, um, and it is just it's good. It just doesn't really. It has the basis for a great film. It's just doesn't have the directorial flair. It doesn't have anything that makes it stand out aside from having a really good screenplay, in my opinion.
I Hmm. I actually, specifically with the directorial flair comment, I think some of the directorial decisions made were really
Mhm,
interesting. I specifically call to mind a scene in which it's the scene. It's probably like the one of the scenes from the movie, one of
mhm,
two. It's the scene where they're sitting in front of the Ferris wheel,
mhm,
and the camera shots just hold and then pan and then
mhm,
hold and then pan and then hold, and it's yeah, a another director might have just shot reverse shot, you know gone back and forth with them,
mhm,
and there was a decision made there to hold you in that moment, hold you with that awkward
mhm,
tension, um really, sit there with it just like they have to because they got together like this.
mhm,
Um and yeah, I think the movie, it's not perfect, but I think it really shines all of the moments where those two are together, where you really feel that tension, and a lot of the strongest decisions are made in those scenes. And then, of course,
hmm,
there's the scene at the end, which I don't really want to get
yeah,
too in depth
yeah, no, we
on
don't have
because
to.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's the whole movie is worth that scene alone, to be honest.
yes, yep,
So yeah. Um, Fifth, I have The Holdovers. It might be a little controversial for some, although some people really love this movie. I've
mhm,
seen it all over other people's rankings. Um, I love The Holdovers. It's going to be yearly for me with Christmas. It's part of my
mhm,
personal Christmas canon for sure. Um,
yeah,
all three of the main actors do extremely well. Randolph and Giamatti and Sessa. Um,
yeah,
very,
the
very good. This is his debut role, by the way, Dominic
yeah,
Sessa.
yeah. They apparently just found him in a high school play or something like that, and they're like, "Come on board."
Right, 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 right. It's yeah, all three of them do such a great job. And it really, I mean, down to the feeling, right?
Mhm,
It feels like a movie that has kind of always existed and always been a part of the Christmas canon, and
mhm,
it came out last year. And
yeah,
it's wonderful. It's warming. It's
yeah.
heartbreaking. It's great.
Yeah, and it does follow very familiar story tropes, but that
Hmm.
doesn't really matter because you like these characters enough for you to let that fly by.
Yeah,
And not every story has to be original. It's all about
right.
those characters.
And when a trope is done this well, then it really doesn't matter.
Mhm.
If you're taking classic tropes and you know just doing them okay, or just doing them pretty well,
Subpar.
that's
Yeah.
one thing, subpar. But if you take them and do them this well, then it's
Enough.
special.
Mhm.
Like I said, it feels like it already belongs in that Christmas canon, even though it just came out.
Mhm.
Um, Up next, I have Poor Things. You will notice I have not I have not said the big Scorsese movie yet. So
Mm.
yeah, that might be a me thing. I know you haven't seen Poor Things. I love Poor Things. I think Emma Stone, does give an excellent performance. I've seen some people online kind of talking down on it because they want their favorite to win. But she gives an excellent performance, and it kind of all rides on her. It's
Hmm.
I think another, on top of how great this movie is, Yorgos is really great. I'm glad that I've been watching more of his films. He's a really great director, a really unique style. Um,
Yeah.
I think another interesting thing to even talk about this movie further is it's kind of one of the first of this new trend that we're seeing of adaptations of Frankenstein that are all coming
Mhm.
out. Um, Guillermo del Toro is working on one. There's another big director who's working on one.
Lisa
Uh,
Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein just came out from Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter. Um, yeah, like it's a trend, and this is, to my knowledge, the first of this recent trend. So that's another interesting aspect of it as far as its place in kind of the zeitgeist and the culture. Um, I'm pausing like you would have something to
I
say, but you
Yeah,
have
but
you have not seen the movie.
yeah, I was gonna say last year or 2 years ago was the year of Pinocchio, and
Mhm.
now we're entering the years of Frankenstein.
Yes, yes. Well, technically, it was years of Pinocchio too because Life of P came out this year, so
Oh,
or last year because it's
different medium, but
2024
yeah,
now. Yeah. Yep. But it also takes longer to produce, especially because it was an
yeah,
indie team. So, um, but yeah, that's all I'll say on Poor Things.
yeah.
Uh, next up, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. I know you enjoyed this more than me. I'll
I
let
really
you
lo I thought
let you open with this one,
okay, I
and
read
then
the book
I'll
because I was really hyped for it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know, I was just like, "Yeah, stop talking beers. I'm gonna take over." Yeah, no, I love this movie. I watched this during the Super Bowl, and
Mm,
I could not have thought of a better way to spend my time because this movie flew by. I think everyone that has seen this movie goes like, "That was 3.5 hours." It felt like 1.5. Um, I just love the fact that it shows the banality of evil and how evil can kinda creep up in ways that make you think that, like, that can cause you to betray love, can cause you to betray morals, and how it can slowly escalate. Leo gives a stand-up performance, which I think may have been a stub. I think where he is sympathetic but not really sympathetic. You see that he has love for his wife and shows no prejudice, but also at the same time he's being manipulated for no reason other than just like him being blind to what's going on, perhaps, or there could be an ulterior motivation. Who knows? Hale is probably one of the most complex villains that I've seen, but then it slowly starts to get eroded, and there's another side to him entirely. I just think the performances are just so standout here, and it shows so much authenticity towards the culture. And it feels very strange to see a book brought to life where it was based in real fact, like something that was not really represented. Uh, but here it is, and I think it just does it so well. I think this is probably Scorsese's best because this is so unlike any of his other works, in my opinion. I haven't seen all of it, but I
have you
think
seen
that this is probably
Goodfellas? Have you seen
yes, I
Goodfellas?
have
Oh, okay.
many times.
Oh well, I still think Goodfellas is his best. It's just, which is not controversial in any way.
Mhm,
But I really enjoy Goodfellas. For me, it's just I don't know. We're at number 7, and these to me are all great films that should be
mhm,
remembered and watched and talked about for a long time. So the fact that we're at number 7 and I can still say that, this like putting Killers of the Flower Moon this low on my personal list is not a dig at all, because
mhm,
we're still in really great films, I think,
mhm.
all the way down here.
Yeah,
So I feel like I should say that because obviously it's a great film. Um, I don't think I need to tell anybody that, or I would hope I don't.
Mhm.
It's just I personally, when it comes to rankings, you have to compare objective quality and a little bit of personal, because it is subjective at the end of the day,
Mhm.
how much you enjoy something, and what you take from it and all of that. So I personally just enjoyed this a little bit less.
Yeah.
I do think I, not having read the book, um, I do still think that the way that you described it, having something come to life, even not having
Yeah.
read the book, you get that sense that Scorsese
Yeah.
is really making this history come to
Mhm.
life on the screen for you.
Yeah.
And so I think, um, you even get that effect if you haven't read the book. So, uh, still an excellent film. Um,
Mhm.
Now we're getting into territory where I think, uh, Justin here might say it's not an excellent film, because we're going to 8, 9, and 10 for me.
Yeah.
Um, 8 is Barbie. I put Barbie at 8. I will say I really enjoyed Barbie. Um, I I think there's a lot to really love about Barbie. I think there's a lot
Mhm.
to really, really enjoy. I think it's an enjoyable watch. It's not, you're not going to get bogged down watching it for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think that there are definitely also, it's not, it's pretty safe, I would say, is kind
Yeah.
of my main criticism. There's not, which is, I mean, maybe that's not something that I should expect from this, but, at this level, with all the films that I put before it, it is kind of something I expect.
Yeah.
It to be a little less safe, and it's very safe, and that's kind of my main criticism
Mhm.
of it, to be honest. I know you
Yeah.
have. I'll let you say what you want
It
to
is
say
just
about it.
yeah, it's very blunt in its message, and it
Hmm.
wears the
Yeah,
fact its entire point on its sleeve because there's that famous America Ferrera monologue, which I guess got her an Oscar nom. And it's it's just not made for me, and I
yeah.
don't think it's made for either of us. And there is an audience where this resonates with. It just not for me. Because
And
I
I
can
think
talk
I
it.
should. Yeah, sorry.
uh,
I just want. I think I should also say, on the note that you just made about how it's not really made for us, that, there's a note that I've seen on social media where people are saying, like, there were middle school age and teenage girls in the theater crying at the movie.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I think, you know, in my opinion, the fact that it's doing things like that makes it definitely worthy of a spot here, to me.
yeah.
Um, and so I wouldn't take anything like that away from it, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like you said, very blunt. Like I said, very safe. It's not quite up to the snuff of the
Mhm.
other films on here for me. Go ahead and
Yeah.
finish what you were saying. Sorry.
I will say, like, I don't know, there were some pacing issues with this film, like, as when it's in
That
Barbie
I
world, it
definitely
just
agree with. Yeah.
yeah, it's just it really rushes to get to the real world, and the real world sucks. Like, it's probably the weakest part of the film. And then when it gets to Mattel, um, the villains are there, and then they're just they're gone. Like, they're not mentioned again, up until the very until later in the film, but they're gone.
They do get jokes, so you see where they're at
Mhm.
from what I remember, but yeah, like, they're not with the other characters again
Yeah.
until the end of the film. They're not, like, directly involved. And then when they and then they get to it at the end of the film, and they just kind of, like, they're like, yeah, let's wrap it all up. Like, they don't actually
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
Feels like.
I mean, Barbie World was cool. I wish we saw more of it, but there was not enough of it for it
Mhm.
to be considered like you get the juxtaposition between the fantasy world and the real world. I don't know. I just don't like seeing a fantasy world and then doing a fish out of water story and then going back to the fantasy world. It's trite. Yeah, I don't know. Not necessarily a fan.
I will also say, like, I don't know if you remember, but back in the summer, it was pretty controversial with conservatives because it was bashing men. But I think personally, it handled, men in the story pretty well. I don't.
Yeah,
I think some people have laid a criticism out that Ryan Gosling steals the show. I don't agree with that completely. I think he's really
the,
good in
the
this.
Academy thinks so
The
though.
cat, the cat. Well, not necessarily. I think supporting actor is just particularly weak this year, and so
Hmm.
he got a nod there. Um, but not at the top. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. is very good. Robert De
Yeah,
Niro is
yeah,
very good. But the like 3, 4, 5 range
yeah.
is kind of weak. Um, but what I will say with the story with him is it's um, I don't know. I think it's even though it lays some jokes at the expense of men,
Hmm.
certainly, it also takes male struggles with identity seriously,
Hmm.
um, and how we interact with society seriously.
Yeah,
Um, so it's you know it, the the conservative criticism that it is a man bashing movie is certainly not right either.
yeah. It's
Um,
baseless.
it's baseless, yeah. So good movie. I think it's still deserving of a nomination. I just don't think it's quite as good as the other
Yeah,
films that I put above it.
yeah. I could see it having a Best Picture nom, but I
Hmm.
don't think it should win.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I agree. I agree. Um, I think it's certainly possible that the backlash pushes it up some Academy lists, and for BP they do ranked choice voting. So there's a world where Barbie wins BP this year. I do not think it'll happen. I think Oppenheimer is gonna win before it gets to
It
that
would be.
point.
It would be very
But
funny.
but but there is a world out there in the
Yeah.
multiverse where that happens. Um, so so yeah. Number 9, I have American Fiction. We
Definitely not a
both,
fan.
yeah, we both think the movie's kind of middling. I lean towards like middling good. You lean towards like middling bad,
Yeah.
right?
The more I think
Um,
about it, the more pissed off I get.
Pissed off. Jeez.
Oh no, yo. Okay, it's just it's. I mean, I didn't find the premise of a guy faking to be I don't ghetto. I guess the ghettoized version of a Black American
Hmm.
to be particularly original. And it's not even the point of the movie. It's just like the subplot of just like this him dealing with his mom with Alzheimer's, which I guess should be its own movie because they do not interact with at all. It's just very separate and they're
Yeah.
very tonally different.
The thing that bothered me about it is they had an opportunity in the middle of the movie to have those stories interact in the form
Hmm.
of the neighbor, his
Hmm.
his his mother's neighbor at her beach house
Yeah,
that he was dating. She
yeah.
read his book and
Hmm.
and all that. But it turned into a fight, and then they broke up, and then they never got back together, and so it never like
Hmm.
became a thing. Even though I felt
Hmm.
like it was a way for them to bridge the gap between these two parts of
Yeah,
the movie, and here we are, and that didn't happen. It's like,
it's just yeah, it's just a family drama, but it's a very subpar family drama. I don't know why it got nominated for Best Picture. To be honest.
yeah, like I said before, I think its bright spots are those two performances from Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K.
Hmm.
Brown, and I think outside of that, I think I got nominated for screenplay too. I haven't read the screenplay.
Adapted.
I can't. I think so. Um,
Yeah, adapted.
Adapted,
Which
yeah.
yeah, I
I
keep on forgetting Killers of the Flower Moon's out there.
Yeah,
That's a travesty.
that is actually ridiculous. But yeah, it's I don't know why it got nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, and that ending, oh my god, that ending was just ugh.
Yeah, it's like
It,
he
it's
it's like he learned the lesson and then he like sells out, but It
It's
also is not like a happy thing. I don't really understand.
I don't get it. It is just I again, I really hate to use the P word. It's pretentious, but also safe, and then also says ultimately nothing about the thing it was satirizing, and instead just talks about the writing process, but not really. And we also don't get the perspective of like the black community and how they're reacting to it. It's just
Mhm.
like, seeing how white people are just like
Yeah,
commodifying and go like, yo, I feel for you, man.
white people and like black academics, and like only a
Yeah.
few black academics too. It's like the main
Yeah.
character and like one other person.
Yeah. Who gives a valid perspective, but it's
Yeah.
never expanded upon.
Right, and that's kind of the thing is I think like in one sense I kind of like that it kind of leaves it brings a lot of points to the table and then like kind of leaves it for
Mhm.
you to think about. But at the same time, I wish it would commit to a
Something.
message, you know?
Mhm.
Like I feel like that would serve it well,
Exactly.
to have committed to one message.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, because like you said, at the end of it, like the two black authors, they both have a pretty valid perspective. I think they both are
Mhm.
coming from places of love for the black community, and they both have ideas of what that means in the way that they present themselves in
Mhm.
literature in this case, and it's that yeah I don't it's not
There are
it
movies
doesn't
that do this
commit
better.
to
Yeah.
any either of those messages, or even
And
it
last
doesn't even commit to both of them being valid. Really, we don't even really
yeah,
get the conclusion of that argument. It feels like so. I don't know.
disappointing.
Yeah, could have been better.
Yeah.
I think like there's some solid stuff in here, and could have been better.
Mhm.
In 10th, I have Maestro, and and that might just be my bias against biopics.
Yeah.
I will say I think the first two acts are very mediocre. Do not like them. They are mediocre to bad. The third act really shines, and a lot of it
Mhm.
is Carrie Mulligan kept me interested in the first half, and then she, you know, all of it comes together in this in that third act, including her performance, and it shines. And so I will admit it's not all bad. It's not all bad, but I have a personal vendetta against. I hated Elvis last year. I have a personal vendetta against obvious, Oscar bait. Um,
Mhm.
so thank you, like Green Book, for winning a few years ago and making me like despise it like this. Yeah, Bradley Cooper, you have Green Book to thank for people like me disliking this movie.
And I haven't seen it because it's on Netflix and I could have watched it. I really could have, but I have better things to do, like not watch
Yep,
this movie.
yep, you absolutely do. So yeah, that's my opinions. I think as far as best director, we said we think Nolan will win along with
Yeah.
Oppenheimer winning.
Yeah.
But I really think this is an extremely strong category. I genuinely think any of these five could win, and it would be just you could justify it. Justine Trier, Scorsese, Nolan, Lanthimos, Glazer, any of those five, in my opinion,
Mhm.
are more than worthy of an Oscar for their efforts in, um, you know, bringing their vision to life for each of their films. So, uh, that's it. That's the Oscars.
Yeah. Um,
um,
yeah, this is gonna be my first time actually probably watching the Oscars. It is over spring break. My spring break. Pierce doesn't have to worry about that anymore, but I do. Uh,
this is a great year for it.
yes.
This is an excellent year for um, notable and like non obscure film.
Yeah.
Because
I th-
sometimes the best films from a year are kind of obscure at the time. It just
yeah.
so
I
happens that way.
yeah, I think there might be a lot of interest in this because of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Thank you, Barbenheimer, for actually being a thing.
Yep, yep. And I hopefully that carries into future years because more people watching film, engaging in the conversation, possibly becoming
Yeah.
filmmakers at some point
Yeah.
is better.
Yeah. Just step outside of your comfort zone. Don't just watch what's mainstream. You know, watch stuff that is just where you do
Yeah.
have to look a little bit outside of your comfort zone for this. So
Once the Oscar race is over, don't stop watching
yeah.
movies. Watch some more. Even if you just go back in time in the Oscars, do that just to get you
Yeah.
started and then expand out. However you want to end
y-
up doing it, just, watch. There's a lot of excellent stuff out there, and films tend to be a pretty low time commitment. It's like an afternoon or whatever. So,
Yeah. And yeah, and like also if your favorite movie doesn't win an award, it's no big deal. It awards are awards. You don't assign an award to art, and that doesn't validate or make it less worthy. It's just recognition. So that's
yes.
another important thing to say.
Yes. If it means something to you, that's what's important.
Yeah. And if our opinions somehow offended you over like me just saying Barbie it's not as good, whatever, it's your opinion. Movies
It's
are
your
movies.
opinion. And also, that's too bad because we're right and you're wrong.
Scientifically accurate.
um, yeah. Anyway, films are great. We will almost certainly be talking about more movies on this podcast. We'll probably do this again. I think in future years we might trim the fat a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or maybe do it right before the Oscar ceremony.
maybe we'd have to figure that out. Maybe release the episode. We'd probably have to release the episode at a different time of month than we usually do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll probably adjust and change next year. So these episodes will get better as years go on.
Yeah. In a few years' time, this will be the best episode you've ever heard.
And yeah, if you enjoyed, give us a like, give us a rating, subscribe, follow us. We really appreciate it. Um, you can find us on Twitter and TikTok if we ever are like active on it consistently
Yeah.
at Not Just Any Pod. Um, and yeah. Oh, and join us next week for Cities of the World is the topic this year. Not related to the Oscars, but you know, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah. And if your name is Prometheus, goodbye.